Hello everyone, you're watching GT Boxing, London, October 2025. After 11 rounds of pure chaos at the O2 Arena, Britain's Fabio Wardley pulled off one of the biggest upsets of the year. He stopped Joseph Parker, a fighter once considered one of the most consistent and well-rounded heavyweights in modern boxing. Parker, a seasoned champion with experience on the biggest stages, fell to a man who, just a few years ago, had never even dreamed of becoming a professional boxer. Wardley's victory has completely reshaped the heavyweight landscape. He is now the interim WBO heavyweight champion and the mandatory challenger for a shot at the undisputed king, Oleksandr Usyk. According to WBO regulations, the Ukrainian champion must defend his title against the mandatory challenger or vacate the belt, and all signs point to Wardley being next in line. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to GT Boxing and leave a like. Thank you. Let's get started. The rise of Fabio Wardley. From nightclubs to the main stage. Fabio Wardley's story is the ultimate tale of a British underdog who exploded onto the scene when no one saw it coming. Born in Ipswich, Suffolk, he didn't go through the Olympic gyms like Joshua or Fury. In fact, he had no amateur background at all. Not a single official amateur fight. Before boxing, Fabio worked in security, did odd jobs at parties and sporting events, stayed fit, and occasionally sparred at local gyms. He turned professional in 2017, at the age of 22. By that time, Oleksandr Usyk was already a world champion in the cruiserweight division and was on his way to becoming undisputed. While Usyk was conquering Gassiev, Bello, and moving up to heavyweight, Wardley was still learning how to stand correctly in his stance and how to measure distance. But that late start gave him something special. No boxing template to unlearn. His style is raw, instinctive, and unpredictable. Wardley fights the way he feels. And that spontaneity has often been the secret behind his success. The meteoric rise. Wardley's climb through the ranks was nothing short of explosive. He didn't have major backing early on, but on the British domestic scene he quickly became a sensation. Just a few years after his debut, he knocked out Eric Molina, a former Anthony Joshua opponent, showing not just punching power but also real fighting grit. Then came tests against the next wave of British prospects. In 2024, he outworked David Adeleye and Fraser Clark, the Olympic bronze medalist. That's when Wardley stopped being seen as just a puncher and started being recognized as a legitimate elite contender. In 2025, he got the call to face Australia's Justis Huni, one of the most hyped prospects in world boxing. Wardley won that fight and cemented his position among the top names, earning a career-defining clash with Joseph Parker, a man many believed would be Usyk's next opponent. The Parker fight. A turning point. The fight with Parker was Wardley's biggest test to date. The New Zealander had experience, technical skill, and composure. Early on, it was Parker who looked sharper, landing the cleaner shots, controlling the ring, and keeping Wardley's aggression in check. But as the rounds went on, Fabio's pressure grew heavier. He refused to back down, traded willingly, and kept throwing heavy combinations even when fatigue set in. Then came the 11th round. Wardley finally found his moment. A clean shot shook Parker badly, and a follow-up barrage forced referee Howard Foster to step in. The stoppage sparked debate. Many fans and pundits felt it was too early. But the facts were clear. Parker wasn't responding, looked dazed, and later admitted he'd been caught hard. That victory didn't just earn Wardley the interim WBO belt. It made him the mandatory challenger for Oleksandr Usyk. The new star of British heavyweight boxing today, Fabio Wardley is one of the most talked about fighters in the UK. He's promoted by Frank Warren, the same man who built the careers of Tyson Fury and Daniel Dubois. Warren knows how to turn a fighter with charisma and knockout power into a pay-per-view attraction. And he's already marketing Usyk versus Wardley as one of the biggest events of spring 2026. Wardley himself doesn't hide his ambition. He calls Usyk the greatest technician of this generation, yet firmly believes that his power and relentless pressure could be the very tools to break the Ukrainian's flawless rhythm. Wardley's strengths. Wardley's biggest weapon is his punching power. His right hand can stop anyone. But more than that, he throws in combinations from unpredictable angles with explosive intent. His attacks at close range are wild, raw, and incredibly dangerous. Another strength is his durability. Wardley has what fighters call a granite chin. Even when hit flush, he rarely panics or backs away, he fights through it. Add to that his fighting spirit, he doesn't fold under pressure and always comes to trade. Defensively, while not textbook, he's learned to move his head, roll with punches, and absorb shots on his shoulders and arms. For a man without an amateur background, that's impressive. Weaknesses and vulnerabilities. For all his heart and power, Wardley remains limited technically. He lacks the fluidity of Usyk. His footwork can be heavy, and his movement becomes labored in the later rounds. It was evident in the Parker fight. By round 9, Wardley was breathing heavily, clinching often, and losing focus. In the 10th, he nearly went down himself after missing with a wide swing. He's got the heart of a warrior, but not yet the energy management or ring IQ needed for 12-round chess matches. What to expect against Usyk? Oleksandr Usyk is the complete opposite of Wardley. Where the Brit relies on raw power, the Ukrainian fights with calculation. Where Wardley attacks on instinct, Usyk dissects his opponents, reads them, and counters with precision. Stylistically, Usyk should find this matchup favorable. Wardley is slower, more straightforward, and, like most punchers, opens himself up during attacks. Usyk thrives on exploiting those moments, making opponents miss and punishing them immediately. Still, Fabio cannot be underestimated. He's dangerous, explosive, and fearless. If he manages to drag Usyk into a physical war, limit the Ukrainian's movement, and control the distance, he could make it competitive. Everything will depend on range and pace. If Wardley can impose a slugfest, even the undisputed champion might feel the pressure. Why Usyk remains the favorite. Experience, intelligence, technique, composure, all favor Usyk. He's faced punchers before, survived knockdowns, and always found ways to adapt. Against Wardley, expect him to do what he did to Joshua, Dubois, and others. Break them down systematically, take away their confidence, and outbox them cleanly. By the middle rounds, the difference in boxing IQ will likely become obvious. Final thoughts. Fabio Wardley represents a new, dangerous, and honest challenge for Oleksandr Usyk. A fighter without an Olympic past, without a deep amateur pedigree, but with a warrior's heart and a right hand that can change everything. He embodies the new generation of British heavyweights, rough around the edges, hungry, fearless, and powerful. But against Usyk, he faces the ultimate test, a man who can make even chaos look organized. Wardley can create tension, he can land, maybe even hurt Usyk. But to win, he'd need to do the impossible. Not just catch him, but break the smartest boxer of his era. The fight between Usyk and Wardley, expected in March 2026, promises to be a true clash of worlds. Intellect versus instinct, artistry versus raw force. And as always in boxing, it won't just be about skill, but about who's willing to go further. What do you think? Can Fabio Wardley shock the world and dethrone the Ukrainian technician, or is the outcome already written? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more exclusive GT boxing stories. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.